Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of Menopause Conversations podcast. I'm so glad to have you here listening, watching, whether or not you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram right now, or just listening to me on your favorite podcast app. So today I've got a question for you. Do you have a plan for your health as you age? Now, I know that you're probably a really smart woman, and maybe if you're running your own business or if you're leading a team, you've probably got a business plan, you've probably got a financial plan, you've probably got a team plan. But what about a health plan? Actually, I was reading an article the other day, and this really, really shocked me. That for the majority of people, we have what we call a health span and we have a lifespan. So we know that our lifespan, is on average around 80 to 85. Women, we live longer than men. But our health span, that's different. And on average, our health starts to decline from about the age of 63. 63 is when we can start to see the onset of chronic disease. Blew my mind. I'm 63. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't know about you. Hopefully you don't want to be a statistic. I can't say that word as well either. So you need a plan. And if at the moment, if you're experiencing, brain fog and not sleeping properly and not being able to communicate what you're trying to say, or you keep forgetting things, or maybe you've got body aches and pains going on, weight is coming on that kind of came from nowhere, hot flushes, all of these different symptoms that are, regularly associated with menopause, but there might be more as well. High blood pressure, high cholesterol levels, all signs that something's out of balance in your body. And the truth is, unless you make some changes, nothing's going to change. It's going to continue on. And your health is going to decline as you age. And are you someone who wants to basically have a great quality of life, or to be medicated to deal with different symptoms and take one medication, then you need the next, then you need the next, then you need the next? Where do you want to be? If you want to show up for your staff, for your clients, for your, for your business, for your family, don't you want to be the best health, in the best health? So that means having a plan. Having a plan to do something different. Because the truth is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And we know that when you start to experience symptoms, that generally the body is dysfunctioning to about 40 to 50%. So symptoms don't show up until there's some type of dysfunction that's been going on for a little while, because we ignore those little warning bells until they become really big, and then we can't ignore them anymore. So what can you do to improve your health? And before we get to that, I want to ask you a question. And I've just finished reading this book. It's called Unstuck by Dr. Emily Musgrove. And she kind of asked that question in here, and I have heard it before. But I'm going to ask you the question. If life is exactly the same in 6 months' time as it is now, how are you going to feel about that? And some people might say, oh, well, that's okay. It's not that bad. I can live with it. I'm living with it right now. But what if I was to say, what if a year from now, nothing's changed? Be that with your health, your business, your life, your enjoyment of life. But then in 1 year's time, if nothing's changed, how will that make you feel? What about if I was to say, in 5 years' time, what if nothing has changed? What if nothing's changed and things are still the same? You're still struggling with the symptoms and possibly they've got worse over 5 years. You still don't have clarity on what it is you want in your life. What if nothing's changed? How is that going to make you feel? And really, we've gone from 6 months to 5 years. The only difference is the time frame. But quite often we're prepared to put up with what's going on right now. But we don't want it to go on forever. So we need to make some changes. And this is where having a health plan, a plan for your health as you age. Because the reality is you are aging, we're all aging. And as we get older, yes, our body is changing. It changes as you come through menopause due to the hormonal changes. We lose some of the protection of the different hormones, estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. We lose some of that protection. This is where you need to start being responsible for the choices that you make and looking at the choices you are making and being really honest with yourself. So my invitation to you is to actually start to make a plan. What are some things that you could change that will influence your health and have you feeling better? Be honest. Is there foods that you know that probably aren't the best for you? And you know which foods I'm talking about. Because it's how it makes you feel. Alcohol, I'm really sorry to say, does you no favors, particularly once you're in perimenopause and beyond. And having a glass of wine every so often to celebrate, an event, that's not a problem. But if it's a regular occurrence in your life that you're using alcohol to wind down at the end of the day, it's the cause of a lot of the symptoms you're experiencing. Hot flushes, being unable to sleep, weight gain, body aches and pains. Alcohol is a trigger for all of those symptoms. So is that somewhere you could actually make a plan to make some changes? Movement is so important for us. And quite often as we get older, and particularly when we're working and we're focused all of the time, we don't move enough. We need our body to move. It needs to move. It was designed to move. If you spend all your time sitting at a desk looking at a screen, you start to get stiff, you start to get inflamed, and you get more pain. And then we start to get foggy-headed. We need to move. When we move, we actually push the oxygen and the blood to our brain so we can think clearer. I know for me that when things get really, really overwhelmed, if I kind of stick a backpack on, put my hiking boots on, and I'm really lucky, I've got a national park down the end of the street. And if I'm really stuck and not know how to go and my thinking is not clear, I know that if I go for a hike, that ideas will come. And earlier this year, I was really busy. I had a lot of things to do. I was building lead magnets out. I was doing a lot of marketing. So I spent so much time working and I wasn't moving enough. I'd stopped doing my regular exercise. I still did Sundays. Sundays are non-negotiable for me. So I do long hikes on Sunday. That's a non-negotiable. But during the week, it was easier to sit at my desk and work. But very soon I found that I couldn't think clearly because I was working. I wasn't sleeping properly because my mind was spinning all night long. And so I wasn't sleeping. I was tired. I stressed. I wasn't making good decisions. And I kept forgetting everything. Didn't matter what it was. It'd come into my head and it'd go straight back out again. But since I've got my body and my life and my health back on track, I'm eating at the right times for me. I'm moving every single day. I think clearer. And I can retain some things in here. I also take lots of notes to make sure. So that's the invitation to you. What is it that you can do? Just make 1 or 2 small changes, and then you can build on them. It doesn't have to be changing everything. Moving your body, getting outside in nature, some breathing exercises, making sure you're eating well, drinking enough water. All of those small steps are a great place to start with your health plan. Now, if you want a little bit more information to guide you along the way, I do have a free ebook called Thriving in Menopause. And if you're watching me on one of the socials right now, if you just put the comment Thrive underneath the video, we'll automatically send you a link in your DMs for you to get access to that. If not, we're going to stick the link underneath the videos as well once they've been published. Or, or if you're listening to this on on podcast, whichever podcast station you're on, the link is bit.ly/thriving-ebook. So bit.ly/thriving-ebook, and we'll stick that in the show notes for you as well. So hopefully this has had you thinking a little bit. Do you want to be in good health for as long as possible? Or are you okay with 63 kind of being, that's it? I know I'm not. It will take change. What change can you make today that you can maintain and give yourself the gift of a healthy, long life? That's it from me. Thanks for being here, and I'll be back next week with another episode of the Menopause Conversations podcast. Bye for now.